Hi guys, I'm Kim. You're watching Kim Wilson TV. My channel is dedicated to helping victims of narcissistic abuse get free, stay free, and never have to return to that fucking freak show again. Now, it is a beautiful day in Canada's heartland. 23 below zero, 32 below zero with the wind chill factor. Had a heck of a time talking Scout into going out for a piddle this morning. When the dog doesn't want to go out, you know it's cold. Now, today I want to talk about the smear campaign because this can be extremely detrimental to the victim's life, to their careers, to their social standing. This can really impact victims in court and with police and throughout your entire life. Now, the smear campaign, of course, is going to start when you've already been, pounded to pulp and you have very little recourse to come back with. Typically your sanity has been gravely challenged and you are really feeling rocked and don't know which way is up. So it's almost impossible to defend yourself against this. The smear campaign is a tactic used by the narcissist that is extremely detrimental, harmful, and really can just be a very big rotten cherry on top of an already really rotten cake. Now, a smear campaign serves many purposes, but one of the first purposes that the smear campaign actually serves for the narcissist is going to be the fact that the narcissist is such a slave and such a victim to their own insanity and that looping four-step cycle of idealization, devaluation, dumping, and discard. This is going on, and this is really starting in the devaluation stage because they've got you hooked now. They already planned the end of this relationship in those earliest days, so they know that the end is coming. You have no idea, of course, but this is what's going on in their mind. Now, keep in mind here, they've got a lot of noise and a lot of chatter going on, and they've got this abandonment issue way out in the forefront. You're falling in love with them, planning a life with them, but in their minds, they're thinking they're never going to stay, they're not going to be trustworthy, they're not going to be loyal, they're going to be cheating, I got to get rid of them. So all this insanity is going on in their minds while you're cooking dinner, buying draperies and arranging throw pillows. They are on a whole different track than you're on. So they know that you're good supply. They get that. They need that supply from you. And they also know that this relationship is going to end. Now, it is a tremendous fear for them and a huge loss. So they need to convince themselves, talk themselves into believing that this will not be a loss, that you are a complete piece of shit anyways, because they need to try and get to a place where they're okay with this loss. Now, in Trevor's case, that was a pretty big fish for Trevor to catch. I was pretty well established within our community as a well-respected artist. I did quite a bit of volunteer work and was quite well sort of known by a lot of people. So this, catching me instantly kind of gave Trevor's otherwise wretched, drunken life some validity and credibility. So, and throughout the 5 years, I'll tell you, I had stepped up as Trevor's absolute care provider. He's got a lot of physical illness, really riddled with infections, bad infections a lot of the time, which I always attributed to his soul sickness, and which, by the way, if you do some research, they often are sick because of the soul sickness they suffer from. But I took care of everything for Trevor. I was the one who would get in there and troubleshoot when he caused problems with people he was working for. I was constantly smoothing things over with his mother. And, it's just, I monitored his vitamin and mineral intake. I did everything for Trevor. So this is definitely going to be a huge, huge blow to Trevor. There's no doubt about it. So the smear campaign, of course, is quite vicious because Trevor knows what he's lost. lost, and it was certainly not in Trevor's, intention to lose me as much as it was to continue perpetuating the torture, harm, and injury towards me. So, Trevor goes on absolutely horrendous smear campaigns to the point that I knew I could not even live in that town anymore. I left the province, completely left the area, really to avoid the fallout of what was going to be him desperately needing to justify this tremendous loss. Now, the narcissist smear campaign against you is going to be covert and underhanded like everything else that they do. So very typically, this is going to be done through a form of triangulation. They're going to use their flying monkeys. Now, a flying monkey is someone that they recruit, tell them horrible, horrible things about you, and then somehow manage to get this flying monkey victim to initiate the smear campaign against you in many ways. Now, Trevor was, my God, such a fucking drunk that, he'd become quite violent, quite crazy, and some nights I would leave. Now, we lived together. I just went to my son's house, or when I still had my own place, would just go home overnight. He would round up some flying monkey victim. He'd get her over there. He'd be cheating on me with her. He'd whip her into a drunken frenzy and have her texting me or calling me through the night, calling me bitch, slut, whore, piece of shit. Like, I don't even know these people. And, this is the kind of thing that they do. Now, quite often people are very distressed because your narc, immediately after you leave, or even if you're still there and still planning your exit strategy, has immediately latched onto a new victim. And that new victim is being groomed to be that weapon of assault against you in the smear campaign. Now, one of the really big challenges that victims face when seeking help from, just friends or family at large, or psychiatrists, therapists, counselors, like the big, big problem is the fact that there is this kind of dogma that everybody's working from, which implies that relationship dysfunction is double-sided. Now, we know that's not true. Fuck, do we know that's not true. Sam Bachman knows that that's not true. H.D. Tudor knows that that's not true. Mike from Unslaved Films and David Whitehead, they all know that this isn't true. Like, there are a lot of really critical thinkers out there, really, really enlightened people that see way beyond the dogma, but unfortunately, very few psychiatrists, therapists, and relationship counselors can see outside of that very, very damning dogma. Now, the thing is here is for victims, it's going to be very, very challenging to get help within those sorts of groups. So you're kind of on your own. And the damage that all this horrendous smear campaign is inflicting on you, this can spread into your place of employment, amongst your neighbors. It's going to challenge relationship with friends and family, where people are looking at you like you are just a horrible, horrible piece of shit. Meanwhile, you have been so beaten, so victimized, and so brutalized that there's nothing left to you, and you can't even find the words to defend yourself. Now, because Trevor most frequently used his mother as a flying monkey, and she kind of got the brunt of all the horrible, horrible things he said about me, I got to a point when dealing with her where I really came to realize that she was absolutely contaminated. Her mind had been poisoned by a lifetime of trying to parent this fiend. Now, I am certainly going to say at this point that much of what Trevor is today is a result of his mother. She definitely has her fair share of problems and is quite naturally just a dingbat. Like, she's just a dingbat. So she was a very easy victim for him, and she in many ways did create that monster. But I noticed very quickly when trying to deal with her, she was completely brainwashed. She was a dingbat quite naturally, and she would ultimately be his most groomed flying monkey. So I found even dealing with his mother to be almost impossible. So though she knew in her heart exactly what he was, she could never get beyond, well, that whole weird family dimension. So there's rarely going to be help from, the narc's parents or family. There's rarely going to be help, available to victims of this horrible form of slander, libel, and defamation of character. Now, in addition to trying to justify the loss in their own minds, they are desperately, desperately trying to keep that mask position. They do not want to be exposed. And though most victims would just run away and, never discuss it again, they believe that you are going to somehow unmask them or expose them. And they need desperately to keep that mask in place. So slandering you and saying it was you, in their minds, helps to reposition that. Now, this narc turd clearly wants to convince themselves that they were right in torturing you. They want to keep the mask in place, but it also gives them a real sense of power when they take, this otherwise just somewhat normal person, convert them to a flying monkey. I mean, someone who doesn't even know you. They become willing to launch this attack on you, and they don't even know you. So being able to twist someone's mind like that really gives them a sense of superiority, and it's really like dirty fast food supply for them. Now, plus throughout this smear campaign, of course, they're lying, and they love lying. They are pathological, habitual, chronic liars. They lie, 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 lie. And this gives them a great opportunity to really show their skills as pathological liars. Oh, guys, I know the smear campaign is absolutely brutal, and I knew I wasn't going for another round of it, so I got as far away as possible. And I know, unfortunately, that's not going to be a reality for a lot of victims. Now, sadly, another aspect of this is they're launching this evil smear campaign against you. They're triangulating you. They're setting people you don't even know, as flying monkeys and weapons against you. But so much of this, too, is about unhinging you. They want to tell the world you're crazy, but now they want you to act crazy. And, of course, when all this horrible stuff is being said about you and it's affecting every aspect of your life, people do become unhinged. And people do start, freaking out and screaming and trying to defend themselves. And meanwhile, you're all busted up and broken. You've been rocked to your core. And we will quite often look like lunatics trying to defend ourselves against this. Now, I had to just tally this up to absolute mindfuckery and insanity. By the time I'd left, I was at the point where I absolutely hated Trevor. I mean, he had just grossed me out, made me sick to my stomach, and I really didn't give a fuck what he was doing. If he needs to go on some smear campaign to justify the loss, hey, knock yourself out, buddy, but I'm not engaging. Absolutely not engaging. I know what happened. I know what he is. And I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks about me, especially some new flying monkey victim that I don't even know, right? Like, may the force protect her because her turn's coming. And I just don't care. It really comes down to you got to take the high road on this one, right? I mean, it'd be real easy to engage and make yourself look very nuts, and I simply am not willing to do that. I just truly believe in my heart that I have more class, more integrity, and a lot more style than to lower myself to that piece of shit's level. Guys, I'm Kim. Bless your hearts. I wish the smear campaign wasn't real, guys, but unfortunately, if it's not happening to you yet, you got a fucking ass whooping coming.